Our dear Mother of Nature, Yana Wene, Yana, Yana, Yana Wene, Yana, Yana, Yana Wene, Owe. Our dear Heavenly Father, Yana Wene, Yana, Yana, Yana Wene, Yana, Yana, Yana Wene, Owe. Our dear Heavenly Spirit, Yana Wene, Yana, Yana, Yana Wene, Yana, Yana, Yana Wene, Owe. Yana, Yana, Yana Wene, Yana, Yana, Yana Wene, Yana, Yana, Yana Wene, Yana, Yana, Yana Wene, Owe. Our dear Mother of Nature, Yana Wene, you are so beautiful, Yana Wene, Yana, Yana, Yana Wene, Owe. Yana, Yana, Yana Wene, Yana, Yana, Yana Wene, Yana, Yana, Yana Wene, Yana, Yana, Yana Wene, Owe. Oh. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Joseph Sparrow and Veruschka here on Mount Shasta. And just want to say thank y'all for watching the last videos. It was really exciting. Veruschka sends a text a couple days into it. She's like, oh my gosh, people are watching this video. This is really going somewhere. And yeah, so, just thanks for being part of the conversation. And yeah, and wanted to just share a little song with you guys. I love singing and being grateful for just the natural world, and it's springtime. It's way springtime starting to happen on the mountain here, and so I'm just really feeling that spirit of nature coming to life, and yeah, feeling good. So I hope that you guys are really having a great springtime, whatever you guys are up to there. I'm actually getting ready to plant seeds. Up here on Mount Shasta, it's more about the 420 moment is actually when we plant seeds for our gardens around here, and so it's yeah, exciting getting to pull out my seed stash and things like that. And but yeah, so how are you doing this week, Veruschka? Good to see you.
Welcome back, everyone, if you're joining us in the cabin again, and welcoming you into our little living room here, sacred space on the mountain. Yeah, we've had some beautiful, radiant, sunshiny days here after a surprise full-on snowfall Saturday night to Sunday morning last week, where literally the plow had to come again while there are cherry blossoms and just full-on spring everywhere already. So it's been an interesting fire and ice last kiss of nature kind of moment. And yeah, we just realized oh, what's happened since we last chatted, which I think is only 2 weeks ago, is that we had this monumental eclipse.
Yeah.
And so we both stumbled on that little topic and feel like it is relevant in the flow of things leading into spring. And Aries, the beginning of the zodiac, is really, they say, the start of the new year. So it seems like a lot of desktop clearing and prioritizing and planting seeds and new beginnings. So it's beautiful to start with a song honoring nature. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The heaven and earth thing seems to be a big theme right now of we're in this Uranus-Jupiter conjunction, and I'm not here for astrology stuff, but yet sometimes it literally is above, so below. Why are we all paying attention to the eclipse? Why did the whole world pay attention to it? Why were we all focusing on one thing from all walks of life, whether it was entertainment, experience, fear, intentional, people were gathering or doing certain things. So in that one moment, where was life bringing you to focus on, whether it was intentional or just going with the flow? And I thought that was a good entry point. And
Mm.
and on that note, like a mini eclipse was just the fact that's measurable, was the fact that we're just sharing this for fun and see who finds interest. And 2 days after I posted the last video, I went from the usual 20 views to 1,000 plus. And I
Yeah.
still have no like reference point to who shared it that it actually was viewed. And so thank you all for listening in, showing interest, and that was just like an unintended kind of fun perk, giving us a little more juice of like, yeah, maybe people
Yeah.
want to hear more
Too cool.
life on the mountain, wherever that's taking us in what we tend to refer to as the flow.
Mm.
So yeah, you want to share a little about your eclipse experience?
Oh yeah, the eclipse. Well, uh, luckily, here we didn't have a lot of clouds in the sky that day, and it wasn't as like full, I guess, as other places, but like definitely was able to take a look up a few times, and be like, oh yeah, there's a little chunk of the sun out of the groove there, and like I didn't necessarily like have like some like big intentional, ring the bells and whatever type of thing set up. I was actually changing out the tires from my snow tires to the regular tires, and helping out at another one of my friends' place, and yeah, having a great time working on a fifth generation of the labels and da da da, just getting stuff done. And it actually was a very very uh, productive day. Like felt like there was like breakthroughs on different projects, like mainly that label project that we've been working on, and so yeah, it was great, but I was also like kind of aware of like I'm like, eclipse energy. Is there something, no matter how much I'm trying to pay attention to it, that I'm not gonna see it, like is like, is that part of the eclipse trip or what have you, and so, I live a little bit, up and over, have to hit a little highway, go fast or what have you, and luckily whatever the eclipse thing didn't actually like, appear until the next day or what have you, but the next day I'm like, going out to go do something, and all of a sudden my front end's acting all crazy on my Jeep, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and we're change the plans from what you were thinking you were doing, and limp this creature back home and figure out what's going on, and almost make it back to my place. And luckily I was just going really really slow, but make a long story short, like what was eclipsed is we ended up not fully tightening down the lug nuts on the driver's side front tire, like, and when it comes to like a tire that you don't want to just come rolling off of your vehicle, it's the driver's side front tire, guys. Like that's the one. Like if that thing falls off at high speed, like that, that's the one that does the big twist and flips the car or what have you type of thing. And so even though it was like chaos or something like that, like I was so grateful that like when it happened, it was not a bad moment type of thing. But that was kind of my eclipse experience, Veruschka, is that like I don't know if you're supposed to change your tires like right during like the arc of like a super eclipse, or do some like really technical moment, even if it's like you and a few other people staring at it. Is that like it appeared that no matter how much the awareness was focusing, that there were things that were going to happen that like no matter how much you tried to have a view of it, it was going to be mysterious and eclipsed. So I'm a survivor, what have you, type of thing. No problems. Got the Jeep into the shop, but that was my like kind of like uniquely eclipsy moment. I've never have had a tire just roll off of my vehicle, type of thing. That was a first.
Well, I'm glad that it wasn't a little more dangerous. And I'm just also curious because we stepped into this recording with the intention of addressing cycles, and the fact that it's a wheel,
Oh,
is pretty literal. And I don't know, you want me to share my little experience and see if we find like any connection?
I mean, I'm curious what you were up to on, the alignment.
Yeah, well, I was dog sitting, and I had plans with a friend to do just something creative to kind of be in stillness. But I had gotten just this message, go to Lake Siskiyou, which is our beautiful scenic lake right in front of Mount Shasta with stellar views. And, just go there alone, be with the water. I
Mm.
identify as a water protector, make prayers for years with the water. And last year on Earth Day, I was at Clear Lake in California's largest lake, which is extremely polluted with a group of people. And I muscle tested for a flower essence that might assist the body of water, and it tested for one that is all about healing the abuse of the father. And that's so interesting because in its heyday, there was just massive factories being set up and productions happening, like, super corporate things, and just everything flushing, all the toxins flushing into the water. So that's a little bit the backstory that as I'm an emotional freedom technique practitioner, which clears trauma successfully, PTSD from your nervous system, and really like brings your body back to neutrality, which clears the trauma that happens, which makes us more resourceful, blah, blah, blah. So along with the flower essence and this intention, I was like, I can tap on the body of the water, of the lake. And I got so much information. So boom, fast forward to the eclipse, and I go to the Lake Siskiyou. And before you know it, I'm bringing the flower essence, a unique one to this, which was all about clearing grief, injecting passion, and embracing our dark side as much as our light side, which is like
Wow.
moon and sun coming together. And this is
What type of flower is that?
thank you for asking. It is the wild carrot, also known as Queen Anne's lace, and then I have the passion fruit from Peru, and the willow tree, which is all about healing grief. So I inserted some stones. I brought back a smoky quartz crystal from Peru that wanted to go there. And I was just like in view of the mountain. My phone dies right at like 11:11. I take
Of
the last
course.
picture. Full eclipses at 11:25, something like that. And here I am. And the dog is like giving me all of this resistance. Cutest dog ever. But during this, like, I'm trying, we're in nature. We're there. He's free to be him. And yet he's like getting my attention. And suddenly I was like, oh, you're really cramping my style. I'm trying to pray to this water and help heal it. And meanwhile, there's an eagle flying like over the lake between me and the mountain. I'm like, hey, yo, all the elements are here. But this dog is like, and I just like, okay, what's happening? It's the eclipse right now, and I'm feeling like I don't want this dog to be here. It's like cramp. And so I got, you always honor what is in tapping. And I was like, oh, unwanted. I remember feeling unwanted and being a burden as a little child. And so I like tapped it in, life's a mirror. How does this water feel unwanted, unappreciated, not acknowledged? People go there and visit it for their selfish reasons. Partying at the lake, motorboats, like, is it actually being appreciated and feels like it's being celebrated? So, you kind of do the actual mirror ball life, as I like to call it, So I was actually fully participating in wanting to reject this living creature, and it's cramping my style. So I used that information, did a beautiful tapping on it. Then I had like my own clearing. I gave the dog as much love as like I'm like, set myself aside and then just really held the dog. Like instead, so I went to the opposite. Like, let me just love on him. And yeah, so that was my eclipse. Went back, and then I was working with a small group of people, of other water protectors, and tapping with them every morning live at 8:08 a.m. and we would do 18 minutes of clearing like what was up in the collective and personal, but we all resonated, and one of them was worthlessness, abandonment, feeling unwanted. And one of the last ones that was my favorite was transcend. Well, what does transcend mean? To end the transcend. And so we tapped on clearing, like, what trances are we practicing, because we've been so programmed by the news, the media, growing up watching TV, like fairy tales, what we believe happiness means, like finding the partner and having a castle and the happily ever after. Like, we have so many trances that we don't even know, like, is this actually real, or were these just spells? So that was like a big one to clear that, just like, I think that was like 4 days after the eclipse. So that's been going on, and I have since that time felt extremely neutral and very present in my life. It's a different feeling, like, okay, I'm here for it. I'm showing up, and all the things happening in my field right now are all the things I really want to be doing, and they're just happening right now. So, just a little recap here.
Wow.
Hashtag wholehearted living and tapping more into joy, even though we know there's all these atrocities going on in our world, but what's really happening right in front of you in your backyard? Who are you relating with? What are you seeing? Like, incredible flowers blossoming everywhere, the trees waving at me, beautiful deer walking around. So, yeah, like when you were playing that song, I was just like thinking about how the only thing that always stops our flow every day is like this fear of failure, this fear of like that bad thing happening again from the past. So it's kind of like it's our personal responsibility to move more toward our own wholeheartedness and witness what is. And my tendency is like, let me just check astrology real quick to brace myself for the shitty thing that's going to happen. Well, I'm just setting myself up. Like, I'm ready to transcend.
Yeah.
In the trances. So, that note, handing it back to you.
Yeah, transcend. I like that. That's a good way of working with the signs and symbols, of language there. I really like that a lot. Wow. Well, epic. Well, Veruschka, I know that both of us, it's kind of Friday or what have you, and there's still things going on, and wrote down a couple of notes here to help me, kind of perceive some stuff. But yeah, we got just kind of a tighter timeline today, So this is more of a half hitch level of situation, and again, just in the beginning of creating this relationship, I just really wanted to introduce myself to you guys, invite you into my home, and into a conversation, into a relationship that I have with Veruschka, and so I hope that we're getting to know each other in a good way, and so what I wanted to talk a little bit about is that we're going to keep doing this. If you guys want to keep watching, we're going to keep doing this, and so there's some stuff that I'm going to do my best to bring forward to you guys, and so as the springtime comes into play, I'm gathering some more gear, GoPro, a few other things, to start taking you all on adventures around the mountain. That on my all things Shasta trade blanket, and just the relation of making all these distillants and incense and body products and well-being and art and all this other stuff, that this journey takes me around the mountain all times of the year, through all seasons, through multiple what's called zones of different communities of plants, and different springs, and it's just spectacular. And so I'm interested in figuring out how to get the technology and the few things together to start bringing you guys on these adventures. And so that's something I just wanted to, not to just keep baiting the future, type of thing, but there's an intention, that we're going to keep on working on here. And so I wanted to, express that in this specific episode, and Yeah, and I would say that that was like the main thing that I wanted to express, like Scroovy being able like to sit in the chairs and express ourselves, but like there's a part of me where I'm like, gosh, I wish I could take you guys for a walk around the yard right now, show you how beautiful it is outside, and we will. And so just wanted to say that much on
Plant that seed.
plant that seed. Yeah, and it's a kind of exciting that there's me and a couple of the buddies that have been playing rhythms together for a while now are starting to perform at our events here locally on Mount Shasta, and so we're getting together here in about an hour or so to do like band practice or something like that, and so yeah, so it's just a little tighter window, but wanted to jump in here and say hi. I'll pass Feather over to you, Veruschka. Bait the future with some good information on what we're working on.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to see also in light of like what I was sharing about my eclipse, like, did you see anything tie in that you feel like, do you have a measured result for yourself right now in like this forward motion?
Hmm. Well, yeah, the eclipse. Okay, like so, like almost in like my weird, like, oh my gosh, let's pay attention or something like that. Is I'm thoroughly convinced from just the results that I've seen is that the eclipse that happened around a decade ago, there was the big festival in Oregon, blah blah blah, that this astronomical event is from my experience of living out here on the West Coast. This was the real like it was birthing itself, but like this is when this certain spirit connected to the fire. And I was like, boy, this is a hungry one. Like I don't even I'm like trying to tap in and be like, what are you trying to express here? Because the fires that used to be known as like forest fires or what have you, like they've actually like we call them firestorms. Like we have a thing that we call fire season now. That's like so on the last eclipse, an energy seemed to birth itself, type of thing, and a cycle happened during that was just out of this world. And then deep into it, 6, 7 years into since that eclipse happened, is when the glaciers started falling off of the top of Mount Shasta here. And when I'm saying like falling, I'm not talking about some little droppies. I'm talking about things the size of like a city block falling from like thousands of feet, into canyons and making massive slides. And so it seemed like in that fire phase that and possibly, like I don't want to be all super, but like man, the 20-year drought plus, this is no joke. Like it is for reals what's going on at this point. And so what I'm looking at with this next eclipse is that it seemed like the water reflection that like our largest glacier over here in the Mud Creek Canyon, and I mean like at the epicenter of this, like when the firestorms were just going off, man, we were having 5 to 6 different ones of these glaciers doing these huge drops, making these massive mudslides, knocking out all of the accesses from the backside here, and that's just basic stuff, just our humans little random trails. But these are the ancient stabilized continuous perk of the headwaters of our water system is what this is here. And since the last eclipse cycle, that Mount Shasta has lost, I would say from where she was at that point, she has lost anywhere between 60 to 80% of her like, I don't even know how old they are, like ancient glacial water. And 2 years ago, when the final largest piece, like these next falls that may happen, may be the end of the glaciers type of thing, but these last slides that happened, it seemed like it changed a cycle in relation to that spirit of the fire that seemed to be so like just unsatiably hungry for change, whatever that means, whatever this heavy hand of everything that's been laid over the land, and everybody's just trying to make it work, all the plants and animals, but whatever this heavy hand has been just running through there, that it seemed like almost the collective consciousness was like, we need change so much that literally we're willing to like allow ourselves to be lit on fire, type of thing. It's like it felt like it was almost like a collective prayer from like the whole community of life's extremity of like how important it is that like this relationship that we as people are creating with all of our other relations in nature. Like we need to really assess what we're up to. And I think that we are. I mean, like there's even technological things that are part of this. Like we've got weird satellites that are doing heat signature surveys at this point and paying attention to the whole landmass of these areas that are being able to distinguish the very beginning signs that is helping with the mitigation. Okay, so like it's all connected or what have you type of thing, like consciousness, evolution, creativity, technology, whatever. Like there's different pieces that are part of this. And so this last eclipse, just in the way that I'm looking at the like the long game or whatever, like cycles, like are these big moments like bookmarks and chapters to then like open up other awarenesses. And so I'm curious if this last eclipse is actually the beginning of another almost like boom, like level of a spirit that actually comes over the cycle that may actually dominate for multiple years or something like that. So that's a little bit of like what the eclipse means to me, more than like what I can do in the exact arc of what's happening with the eclipse. I'm like trying to look at it more in like these like obviously that like the creation is saying like, hey, there's something happening, like an actual like almost something outside of the norm, like almost like a supernatural expression from like creation that allows us to like blink or like pay attention for a minute. So that's what I'm kind of looking at, is I think that creation has put another like supernatural like pivot that like triggered into the awareness of like what is living on this planet to almost like usher in another cycle of events that are accumulating. So that's
Absolutely. I mean, just to underline that, I just spoke to my astrologer friend yesterday, and like verbatim how you were describing it, she was describing, we're in this, it's been 13 years since we've had this Uranus-Jupiter conjunction, and it basically is like, I just learned that Uranus is like the higher octave of Mercury, which is the messenger planet of communication. And Uranus is allegedly even like higher communication and messages. So that this, like Jupiter, which expands and increases the energy, that this is all about like a higher awareness coming in, and aka what I would call anchoring heaven on earth. Like we are bringing in new decisions, judgments, seeing of things. Old stuff is falling away. We're like the snake shedding the skin right now, and that's why the eclipse like takes away, and then we have more embodiment of this higher learning, and like we are maybe dropping old patterns. Maybe it's easier to create new pathways or new opportunities. And so right now, this week, allegedly, people are getting like these new opportunities, these new pathways, and then it's easy because the old isn't weighing you down anymore. So it's very much mirroring what you're saying, that it is like, wow, this is not something to be afraid of, but like releasing the weight of the past is only giving us more room to create these new pathways of evolution. So again, I think the self-learning is reminding us to not be afraid of it.
Yeah.
Like it's actually on our side. Like humans are so brilliant and genius, and if we can choose our heart more, we're going to be able to create more sanctuary. Like just as a state of being. And that's what one of the big things that dropped in for me while we're sitting here is just like, where are we talking right now? From grandma's house. Like creating sanctuary where you are and who you are is the biggest thing you can do for our evolution right now, for our humanity, is having relationships, spaces of safety to connect, spaces of safety to actually have the space to lean into our creative brilliance and create new solutions, spaces of sanctuary in nature to listen more to nature. And so that's like a whole other conversation we can have about Grandma's house, because your intention around that is just so powerful. We need more places of sanctuary, and I feel like that's the message I keep getting from the universe in this window of like, no, be peace. But what's even better than peace is like while we're in a body, like the space environment you create needs to be sanctuary so that you can emit more peace, or create a more peaceful life, because ultimately that's what we want. We don't want to like stress ourselves out and be miserable before we rest in peace. Right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that's such a deep topic, for our short video, short one this time. But yeah, I mean, like that's just absolutely crucial, the sanctuary consciousness, and it's like, like I've got I got somebody who showed up here, is able to stay in their own RV, has some level of a fixed income and stuff like that. Easy, it's great. Like, doesn't put a lot of pressure on me or what have you. And just, a week or two into this experience together, like I just look at, like just being just like the dude or whatever, the land steward, where I kind of I'm like a gatekeeper, you know what I mean, in a sense of what it means to have the permission to stay here on a certain level. And but through the years, I really have learned that like people that cross the gates here, that we're all similar. We all like organic food and great music, and who doesn't love nature and blah blah blah. I mean, like we all got a lot in common, but the intention of why somebody shows up, okay, type of thing. Like to break down my story here is that everything that I do here specifically on this homestead, everything that I do here is not necessarily to be somewhere else. It's not to create value and resource and money and stuff like that to go on some great places far away from where I'm at. Like everything that I do here is actually to be here. Type of thing that I really appreciate being here. I want it to be good. I want it to have like things that are alive. I want the cat to be happy, the gardens to be thriving, the trails to be open, things to be healthy, food in the cupboards, you know what I mean, floors swept, spaces for guests already laid out with like just put a spark, to the already made bundle of twigs in the fireplace when you get in here. Maybe it's your first time making a fire. I don't know. Type of thing. But like I want things to be like that because this is where I spend most of my time. Like sure, I go out in the world a little bit. So to bring it back, like everything that I do here is to be here. And when I go to town, um, I got a lot of good things going on there too. I got friends and people and stuff that I do there. But the reality of what I do there, why I go there, my intention of what I do there is to exchange, collect, receive, move around or whatever, something to take back to be able to be here. Okay. And so the majority of people that will show up behind and show up to my gates here, that it's very rare that somebody's to a spot in their life where they're carrying themselves in a way where they can actually like plug into really tapping into being part of the homestead. You know what I mean? Like everybody's got a gravity pulling them in the other direction of just financial responsibilities, verbal contracts, whatever the story is, addictions, you know what I mean? Whatever the story is that like pulls you in the other direction, you got to take care of, type of thing. And so a lot of times, like, because like, I've been a farmer, I'm a crafter, what have you like that, I get involved in things and create value, you know what I mean? Create things that multiple people can get involved in, and there's things for all of us to pick up afterwards, type of thing. And I need that certain level of synergy. I need people to come for shorter, intensive moments to actually like do something with the intention of gathering something to be somewhere else, type of thing. And so just kind of in that sanctuary consciousness that we're talking about is, I just hope that like more of us find ourselves in a position to be working with a place that like gives us if we show up and do our chores. So like in my story, like people ask me like, well, what do you do? I'm like, gosh, whatever it takes. But honestly, what I do, regardless of like I don't necessarily know what I'm going to do tomorrow or the next day or what have you fully. type of thing. But I do know that if I allow myself to be super comfortable with and accept that I'm going to have 5 hours of chores, and if I do that, that first part that I was talking about, food's in cupboards, the gardens are thriving, structures are clean, space for guests, like all this other stuff. My clothes are clean, my body's healthy, I sleep well, type of thing. And so as long as I keep doing that, and because I take care of things that actually create value, like that, those chores actually bring things to other people too because of this connection, like a passive energy. I mean, like, go work for hours and like you have to plug into every single hour for the validation. Where if you work with the medicine wheel of life, like the natural phenomenon of like the increase of nature type of thing, and learn how to actually plug into that working relationship, that the amount of work that nature does in a day type of thing is beyond any level of me just like cracking widgets or whatever type of thing hourly. And so what gives this abundance is actually learning how to align myself as a human being into this greater work of nature type of thing, and to have this like conscious passive relationship to this whole other community's works, type of thing. And so yeah, I hope I'm not getting too far off subject with like the idea of sanctuary and stuff like that. But the thing that has given me sanctuary is learning how to have a chore-based life, being in relationship to the nature of work, like to actually, like, the amount that I benefit from the work that all these plants and animals and the seasons and everything do, through learning my timing and deliverance to carry my tools and instruments and techniques type of thing, to where I can work with this other community's offerings of their works is a phenomenon. Like when I'm out there, watering a garden or what have you, maybe I'm by a timer, type of thing, and the amount of work that garden does in a day versus like, whatever, like what I can do, it's just something to consider, and like how to take care of yourself to like build sanctuary, is like what relation do you want to have to work? What communities works do you want to represent? Type of thing. And for me, I love representing the community of nature, works, through like the process that we can have it as humans. And so yeah, sanctuary. Thanks for mentioning that, and thank you for mentioning that you feel that, over here at the bird's nest, the Sacred Fire of Mount Shasta. That really that touches my heart and makes me feel really good. That you feel that way, Veruschka.
Yeah, and so I'm hoping it's the vibe is infectious just by dipping in a little bit. But I want to thank you for the beautiful medicine song, and we'll share more as we're inspired. But I think it's a good place to stop and marinate till next week.
I would agree.
Thank you to the Eclipse, pushing for evolving our past fears into leaning more into how we can be stewards of our own lives in sanctuary, for ourselves and others. And thanks for dipping into that a bit, because we've got more to share about that around seed planting and cycles, and following the path of nature around there, and where it can lead you.
All right, till next time, folks. Stoke is real.